One of the most common questions we get from clients in the tech and biotech space is, what should I do with my restricted stock units? Hi, I'm Scott Frank, founder of Stone Steps Financial and certified financial planner. Stock compensation is interwoven into the fabric of tech and biotech companies these days. People are paid by their salary, maybe there's a cash bonus, and then very commonly, especially as you work through the ranks of the company, stock compensation becomes a larger and larger component of your salary overall. And the question is, how do you treat it? How do you think about it? What should you do with it? What is a restricted stock unit? It really is a form of compensation that shows up as a piece of stock. So the simplest version is, let's say that someone gets, maybe when they sign on with the company, they get a restricted stock unit grant by signing on. It's like their higher RSUs. And the most common thing that we see is a 4-year vest with a 1-year cliff. So let's just say someone gets 1,000 shares. Doesn't really matter what the price is at this moment. They get 1,000 shares. What that means is if they get hired on January 1st of 2024, well then on January 1st of 2025, that grant that they've received will start vesting, and it will vest 25% typically each year for the next 4 years. So one of the things we are often interested in, and you would be interested in, is asking yourself, how often am I getting these restricted stock units? Am I just getting it at higher and I'm not going to get it each year? What we see commonly is that people get refreshes where they get it each year with their compensation. And if that's the case, then you really want to think about your restricted stock units as a form of compensation and a part of your salary, because ongoing you're going to have these vests occurring where you're going to have this income coming to you. Now, what does that actually mean? Well, what that means is that the way restricted stock units work, the moment the shares vest, that money, those shares, when they vest, so let's go back to that 1,000 shares, so 250 shares vest on January 1st of 2025. If it's worth, let's say $100 a share, that's worth $25,000 when those shares vest. Well, those shares vesting, they're going to go ahead and be considered ordinary income for you the moment those shares vest. So that's like you just got a cash bonus, but instead you got a stock bonus, right? Now, the most common form of receiving the shares, the way it's almost always defaulted to, is this thing called sell to cover. So there's 3 different ways typically you can receive shares on your vesting schedule. You can say sell all shares. Some companies don't allow it, but many do. Sell to cover. And then a third is you basically say, like, I'm going to cover the taxes on my own. Don't sell the shares. Very rare for that one. But what happens is, in that moment, the 250 shares become yours. A portion of those are set off for taxes. Now, 22% gets withheld federally. One of the common things that we run into with clients is we don't realize as clients that we need to be withholding a larger percentage, right? Because we're in a higher tax bracket than the 22%. So that's one of the things we like to look at right away. It's something you can look at for yourself. Are you withholding the right amount of the share? And then those shares come to you, but almost always the default that happens for most people is we just keep those shares and we let them start to become this little account off to the side that grows. And then, I mentioned that 1-year vest, but normally what happens is that 1-year vest hits and then quarterly or monthly thereafter, usually quarterly, everything else vests across that time. So then those shares just keep growing and growing and growing. You get more and more shares in that bucket. And the question is, what do you do with them? That ultimately comes back to what matters to you and what's your plan, right? This is why we should have a financial plan. Because if we don't, we ultimately just do whatever inertia allows. And inertia for most of us is just let it sit here and grow and get bigger and bigger. And that can be a problem. One of the things that we worry about for clients, and I'd worry about for you, is the question, and it is a question, but the more we allow one stock to be driving our financial future, the more risk we're taking. So one of the questions we want to ask is, what percentage of our total net worth, we talked about a balance sheet before, what percentage of our total net worth do we want to have in one stock? And so you're going to have this building over here, and you're going to ask yourself the question, what do I want to do with it? Do I just want to start selling these the moment that they arrive? We can do that. Do I want to let them settle and then let them grow for a year and then sell them with a long-term capital gain? Maybe. Do I want to build a position because I really believe in this company and I really want it to grow? Because while it is a risk, owning individual positions is actually a way to create wealth too, if you're in the right company. It's very rare, but it does help. So that's something that we can look at too. And then from there, we really just want to ask, what do we really want this money to be doing for us? The cool thing about stock compensation is that if you're really living on your salary and maybe you're using some of the bonus, but you're not using the stock compensation, it can be an amazing way to fund goals in your financial life. You just have to understand the tax ramifications, right? So like one of the simplest things is like the moment those shares vested on January of 2025, if you just chose to sell them immediately, you didn't really, you had ordinary income right then. You can't escape that, but you don't have to worry about the gain or the loss on the stock. You just say, I want to sell it right now, and I'm going to take that cash and I'm going to do something else with it. What can you do with it? You can build an emergency fund. You can save for down payment on a home. You can invest it in other things, right? Like maybe back to a Roth, which we talked about, or other things that are going to help fund your life, right? That's the cool thing about it. The key is you just have to understand the tax treatment of it, which is that you're going to have to pay the tax the moment that it hits. And then from there, it's really just a matter of if you don't take those funds, if you just take those funds and leave them there, then you have to start worrying about taxes going, gains and losses, short-term and long-term. Short-term just means less than a year. Long-term means more than a year. We have to worry about those things too. But ultimately, that's the key, is understanding, what do I want these RSUs to be doing for my life? And how will I use them in a way that will benefit me? So it should really come back to the lens of, what do I want in my life? And what do I want to fund with these things? And then from there, utilize that as a strategy to figure out, what should I do with these? So I hope that was helpful for you. Have a great day.